Hello and welcome to Pints and Quarts, a show presented by Craft Beer Nation. Today is April 23rd, 2015, and our guest this week is Hugh Sisson. Hugh is the founder and owner of Heavy Seas Beer out of Baltimore, Maryland. Our show tonight is sponsored by the folks at craftbeveragejobs.com. If you're looking for a gig in any craft beer brewery around the U.S., get on over to their site and check out the listings. They have jobs for all skill levels and all trades, from brewers, assistants to accountants. They've got it all. But right now, though, we want you to stick around for our conversation with Hugh. So get your beer in a glass and get comfortable. While the music's playing, this would be a perfect time to click subscribe on our YouTube, Stitcher, or iTunes channels.
Time now for a look back at the last week in the craft beer industry. Pour a cold one and sit back for an all-new episode of Pints and Quarts, presented by Craft Beer Nation.
All right, we are here live this week, Thursday night. It is time for Pints and Quarts, and we've got Hugh Sisson from Heavy Seas Beer, Charles Dunkley, Gil Mello, myself, Matt Miller. Let's dive right into the good stuff here, Hugh. Thanks for joining us. How are you?
I'm good. Glad to be here.
Fantastic. You are coming from your house there somewhere in the greater Maryland area?
I'm in North Baltimore area, so yeah.
North Baltimore. All right. Well, so just trying to get into things here. You've been brewing as the business since '95, but you haven't been called Heavy Seas Beer all that time, right?
No. I've actually been brewing since 1989. I started the first brew pub in the state of Maryland, which was a family business called Sisson's, and I brewed there from '89 to '94, and then left that company in '94 to start Clipper City Brewing Company, which started in '95, and the company's still called Clipper City Brewing, but our brand these days is all called Heavy Seas.
So you're still incorporated as Clipper City Brewing, but you don't use that as a trade name anymore.
No, that's pretty common. Massachusetts Bay Brewing is the brewer of Harpoon. Boston Beer is the brewer of Sam Adams. Anheuser-Busch is the brewer of Budweiser. Clipper City is the brewer of Heavy Seas. We're in good company.
What was with the brew pub Sisson's? Is that still in existence? It's just...
No. That was a family business. I ran the company from 1980 to 1994. When I left, we started brewing as a brew pub in 1989. We actually got the laws passed that made brew pubs legal for the state of Maryland, and we did that in 1987, fully expecting it to fail, and it actually, to our great surprise, passed in the first go-round, so we needed to get our fecal matter coagulated and get it done pretty quick.
Fecal matter coagulated. All
yes,
right.
Right.
And
I cleaned it up for you there, didn't I?
I appreciate that. This is a family show. So, so 95 Clipper City Brewing, and then when did you? Take us through some of your early beers. And
Clipper City was, that was our first incarnation. I called the brewery Clipper City because Baltimore was where the Clipper ship was first designed and built. I assumed that everybody in the local area understood that. I discovered shortly thereafter that was an erroneous assumption, because I had people coming in, why'd you call it Clipper City? It's like, okay, well, that was a bad idea. So anyway, the thrust there was to making purely local beers, and it was moderately successful, but I think we pigeonholed ourselves into too much of a mainstream sort of a product line. We acquired another company a couple of years after we opened called the Oxford Brewing Company, who was known for a raspberry wheat beer, and that did okay for a little while, but that began to fade. And we created Heavy Seas, and I want to say about 2003 as our third brand, and that really is the one that took off. So in 2010. We aligned everything behind the Heavy Seas product line and let the other two lines go. So that's the story.
It's the same great beer. It's just changing names to kind of go with.
Well, it's changing names and the styles and the approach. Heavy Seas was always much more focused on adventure and risk-taking and rising to the occasion. Clipper City was more sort of about creating just classic beers, and Oxford, one of the lessons that I learned is when you acquire another company, you go through all this effort to try to bring it into your fold, and then you get it, and you go, oh, this is great. Now what the hell did I do with it? We struggled for a while trying to find a really relevant place for it within our portfolio of products, and we finally just came to the conclusion that it just didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So if I could take that deal back, I would.
I remember reading something. It was last year or the beginning of this year about this contraption that you guys came up with. What, the Cascarator or something that you call it?
Yeah.
I mean, is that something that you try often? Like you wake up and think, what am I going to do today? I'm just going to play with my gear today.
Well, the whole thing is we are, I believe, the largest producers of cask conditioned beers in the country. Cask conditioned beer is something which is near and dear to our hearts. It's not a moneymaker. It's a good brand tool, but it's not a profit center. It's a niche within a niche, so it's a really teeny tiny part of what we do. But we love it. We think the beers are awesome. We would always do it just because we think the beers are awesome. One of the challenges in the United States selling cask conditioned beer is that, there's a growing number of bar owners and publicans who understand how to do this properly, but it's still a fairly small number. So working with Paul Pendyke at UK Brewing, we developed this thing which is basically a kegerator that's refitted to handle a cask beer properly with a proper beer engine and what's called the cask breather and a cask widge, which allows you to serve cask beer and serve it right and have it hold up for a week if that's what it needs to do, and still have really good beer at the end. So we put together that kit with Paul, and we use it as a tool on the occasions when you're dealing with a bar owner who actually wants to do this right. Here you go. Here's how you do it.
What's the trick there? The trick is to keep CO2 going in without pressurizing the carbonate?
Bingo. The whole thing is, on a traditional cask setup, as you hand pump the beer out, you're bringing oxygen in. Well, beer and oxygen is a bad combination. So what you want to do here is you want to bring the beer out. You want to allow CO2 instead of oxygen to come, or air, to come into the vessel, but you want to do it in a way that there's no pressure. So using what's called a cask breather only allows CO2 to come in at atmospheric pressure. So you don't have any CO2. If the beer is flat to start, it's going to stay flat. If the beer is properly conditioned, it's going to stay properly conditioned. But the big thing is you're not bringing in oxygen into the cask, so the beer is going to hold up.
Because I think I've seen some firkins from you guys in some place too, right? You do that a lot as well. Like,
well, that's that's cask beers. Firkin. Okay. Firkin is.
No, without the
without the whole thing. Yeah, we do that. There's a lot of bar owners who want to. They'll get a cask for a single night event. They'll throw it on the bar. We'll tap it. And we hope to God it goes away that night because that's the way the beer is good. I'm as interested in making sure that the bar owner gets good value on what they spent their money on, but I also want to make sure that the beer is good for the customer who's buying it. So cask beer is highly perishable. You really need to make sure that it goes away fast. If you're not using a cascarator, you've got about a day.
Awesome.
So if you're, a lot of the times when I'm in brew pubs, it will do that. It's only a six stool sitting up there on the bar. It's a smaller amount of beer.
Well, that's called a pin.
A pin.
Yeah,
That's the same process, but a smaller amount.
Yeah, cask is the style. Firkin is a size. That's 10.8 U.S. gallons. Pin is 5.4 U.S. gallons. I think the next size up is called the Kilderkin. You see, firkins and pins are the most common. And if you're going to do something on a bar top, probably a pin is the right size because it's 5 gallons. And Christ, if you can't go through 5 gallons of beer on a bar promotion, you're really not doing a very good job.
Now, tell us about the brewery now. You guys are Have you relocated some of the things? It seems like you have moved things around.
We've it's been a pretty crazy couple of years. In 2010, which was the year that we converted everything to heavy seas. I mean, that was the height of the recession. I was losing brands because I was converting everything over to heavy seas. And I was fully expecting to have a really modest year of growth, and we grew 35%. And then in 2011, we grew 55%. And the problem was that we never anticipated having that kind of growth in that short a period of time. So we outstripped our ability to produce. And so in 2011, 12, 2010, 11, 12, 13, and 14, those were the years where we dealt with those capacity constraints, rebuilt the entire facility from the ground up, went from 15,000 to 40,000 square feet, tripled our brew house capacity, tripled our packaging capacity, and so by the time we got to the end of 2014, we had accomplished all that. I mean, there was a sort of an unfortunate rumor that was circulating that Heavy Seas didn't want to do collaborations because they were being snooty. It wasn't that at all. We didn't have the capacity. So now that we've finished that, we're doing a collaboration with Yards for the Savor, the big Brewers Association gathering in D.C. for food and beer pairing. Well, Yards and Philly and us are doing the collaboration beer to celebrate that. We're doing a collaboration with Hardywood from the Richmond area sometime this fall, and there's a bunch of other stuff that we're going to be doing. Plus, we've just introduced a bunch of new products. You do what you can do, and the worst thing you can do in any business, especially the beer business, is make a promise you can't keep.
I wonder what you're doing with Yards, because they do such classic beers.
Well, we do a lot of classic beers. I mean, and I'm actually really excited about working with them on this beer for Savor, because I mean I cut my teeth on English ales in 1974. That's where I first finally figured out I actually liked beer, and so going to work with Yards, I mean, we're the big cask beer producers in the country. They do a lot of classic English ales. My brewmaster is actually from the Philly area. I think this is going to work out really, really well. We're very excited about it.
You
Can
did
you
add
tell us about that? I'm
sorry. I'll just say you did add an English porter to your selection this year, didn't you?
Yeah, it was really good too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the beer that we're doing with Yards is called Filtamore.
Filtamore. And can you could tell us about it, but Gil and I are actually going to be at Savor. We're going to be at both nights of Savor this year.
Well, it's going to be at about a 5.5% English-style pale ale aged on oak spirals. This will be the first year that Savor hasn't had a really just ginormous, off-the-wall, wacko beer. We actually think that taking this more subtle approach is going to be a hell of a lot more food-friendly. And if we're wrong, what the hell? It'll still be goddamn good beer.
It will get consumed. That's right.
It will. It will not last long.
Now, is that the takeaway gift? Are you bottling that, or is that?
That will be the takeaway gift. We're going to bottle that. Post Savor, we're going to have, a couple of hundred cases we're going to sell, and then we're going to have a bunch of draft that we're going to sell, probably predominantly in the Baltimore, D.C., Northern Virginia, Philly markets, and then we're actually going to do a second collaboration with Yards in the fall, which we haven't completely settled on, but it'll probably be a slightly different beer. And we're doing that because, again, we're excited to work with them. We're sort of the same size. We're sort of kindred spirits. Philly is Philly and Baltimore is Baltimore, but we're sort of the hubs of that sort of mid-Atlantic area, so we think it's important to do it.
Now, you said you're proud of this small beer that you're taking to Savor, but I've had some of the you guys are known for some of the bigger things that you do as well too. There was a barrel-aged something. Tell me about Holy Sheet. That was a
Holy Sheet. Holy Sheet was a Belgian double style in terms of the color and the basic approach. brewed to the strength of a triple, and then aged in brandy barrels.
Yeah.
And it's pretty spectacular beer. We really liked it, and it's not in our portfolio for 2015. It'll come back in either 16 or 17. One of the things that's kind of fun about having done this for as long as we've done it is that, you know, there's a whole lot of products that we've made that you can take off the shelf and give a little rest and then bring back, and you know, it's almost like you've reinvented yourself, but so it's fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
As I said, it's supposed to be fun.
you're adding a load of new beers to your lineup this year, aren't you?
Yeah,
I was
we
looking
are.
at the lineup. It's like, at least I see like a dozen new beers that
Well, I
haven't
don't think it's
ordered yet.
quite. Well, yes and no. I mean, we did.
I mean, we've done special release and stuff.
With the special releases, yeah, it's probably damn near a dozen. I mean, we did. You know, the Crossbones is our new session IPA. The Deep Six, the English Robust Porter that we did for the first quarter is a new beer. The Double Cannon that we just released for the second quarter is a new beer. There's 3 new products in the Uncharted Water series, which is our barrel-aged stuff. There's something called the Desert Island series, which is all draft and very limited releases, which is just stuff that my brewers wanted to do just for the hell of it, and we're having fun with that. So yeah, there's a bunch of new stuff. I mean,
I saw Schwartz beer there, and I got
the
very
Schwartz,
excited.
the Schwartz, which is really good. By the way.
I'm a big fan of smoked beers, both Charles and Eric.
Well, the Schwartz beer is out now. I think the next one coming. What the hell? We did a Scotch ale. We did the Schwartz beer. Oh God, I should know this right now. I'm drawing a blank.
Smoked Dunkel Depot stick.
Yes,
Alt.
yeah, the smoked Dunkel's going to come in. Yeah, I mean, you know, so it's fun. You know, when you make beer, I mean, there's a business, and then there's the fun. And one of the things that one of the reasons I've been so grateful to have been able to make a career out of this is because I'm still having fun. So how awesome is that?
Now there's the brew house, the production brew house that's making the Pilsner, and it's making the IPA and making
Right.
the session IPA.
Right.
What are you brewing these some of these other things on? Have you just
No,
got
same set of toys. I mean, you know, so I mean, our smallest knockout is about 60 barrels. So on some of these Desert Island series beers, that's all we're going to make. We make 60 barrels. We might make 120 barrels. That's it. Just boom, boom, done, and
Yeah.
you know, run and gun. It's
yeah,
fun.
it's just interesting though that you've got beers that the brewer wanted to make it, and you're just gonna give them the keys to the car and let them drive that thing. Here comes 60 barrels of something that somebody dreamed up one night.
Well, they dreamed it up about 8 months ago, which is when we decided to make this thing. So in that particular thing, yes, we are handing over the keys to the car, but it's being worked into an overall marketing plan and structure. So it's not. It's only partly seat of the pants.
Yeah.
We
But-
did
but-
Go ahead.
No, it's just those kind of things are what keeping things fresh and keeping things interesting. Just like you
Yeah,
said.
and the thing is, I'm blessed to work with a bunch of really talented people, and one of the things that I've learned over the years is that let talented people express themselves. So, you know, failure to do that, I think, is stifling, and at the end of the day, it's counterproductive.
Charles and I in a group, we did 31 days of pumpkin beers this last year,
Yeah.
and I had 50 some pumpkins, and I have
I'm
to say
sorry.
that, you know, I was,
Yeah.
yeah, it was tough at times. It was very nice at times as well. And one of the reasons is like one of my top 10 beers was the Greater Pumpkin.
Right.
I thought it was just unbelievable good, and it was my last. Actually, was the last beer that I did. I even did a little review. It was the last beer I had was the Greater Pumpkin.
It's a
I was
great
like,
beer.
yeah, it was excellent.
Well, that's saying something. And after 31 days of pumpkin beer, you had your best one at the very end. So
Well, my top 10, I would
Oh, the
Yeah.
I'll tell you I'll tell you a funny story about that. I have never been a fan of pumpkin beers, and up until we really started playing around with some of the bourbon barrels, I was not a fan of a lot of the bourbon barrel beers because I think people leave them in the bourbon barrels for too long and they get really boozy, and then they lose their balance. And I don't know how many years ago, but it was a while ago, some of my brewers came and said, "We want to make a pumpkin beer." So I sort of reluctantly shrugged my shoulders and said, "Okay." And then they came to me after they'd made that and said, "We want to put some of these in bourbon barrels." And I went, "Jesus Christ, you're killing me here." So, and I let them do it. And then I tasted it. And it was awesome. So we decided, okay, well, we're going to do this from now on. One of the lessons that we've learned is that when you put beer in spirits barrels, the classic thing is less is more. If you put it in there for a really long time, the beer gets really boozy. We typically do things in our spirits barrels for 4 to 6 weeks max. So you get the nuance, you get a little bit of that vanilla oak, you get a little bit of that bourbon essence, but they're not boozy. And I really think it makes a huge difference.
You say all that, but that holy sheet.
Well,
I
that
felt
was in
on the-
Brandyburg. You thought that was on the boozy side?
I thought that was a little on the hot side. Yes.
Okay, well, maybe, hey, look, it's not an exact science. So, I can tell you what we were what we were attempting to do. That doesn't mean we always pull it off.
I didn't say it was bad. I just said it was a little hot. And in fact,
Right,
I've got
right.
another one that I might save until my 7-year-old is graduating or from something.
Okay, well, with time it should mellow out.
I should lay that one down a little bit, though.
Yeah.
Charles, did you have a comment? Did we have a comment that we wanted to get in, or it seemed like I was reading something about that?
Doug had made a comment earlier, and he was saying actually one of the best beers he's ever had was the your Peg Leg Stout aged in Pappy Van Winkle barrels.
Yep.
That was brought to a local festival.
And for us all that know Doug Nolan, when he says I like something, that's a big deal.
That's high praise.
Oh, yeah.
That's high praise.
Yeah.
There's going to be a version of the Peg Leg and bourbon barrels which is going to sort of surreptitiously work its way into the market either later this year or sometime next year. I can't stress enough. We went through an extended period of time where we were kind of capacity constrained, and we didn't really have enough of, for lack of better words, I'll call F-around space. And now we've got that. So everybody in the brewery's kind of got a little spring in their step because it's like, oh, you mean we can do this now? All right. So it's pretty fun.
All right. Well, let's, Gil, there was a news story here we wanted to transition into.
Okay.
Well, for some of us that reads the the Market Watch, there was an interesting news about craft beer and sports this week. The soccer is not the most popular sport in the United States, but if you think about the tendencies, like the MLS has, I think, it's a little over 19,000 people comparing to, I don't know, on NBA and hockey league, they just have about 18,000 average, because most audiences go through TV. So a lot of craft breweries are actually doing advertising via MLSL, and it's working really nice for them. I know the Red Rook, the article comments about Red Rook doing the Seattle Sounders. The Oscar Blues even did something else. They did like Motor Speedway in Charlotte for NASCAR. They did that. If you guys are all familiar with that. I know Dogfish had. So they are mentioned like how two things that are a growing thing in the United States are going hand to hand right now, and a lot has to do with the viewers. And I think the big thing is, and the news calls the millennials give soccer and craft beer a common goal, right? Because the average age for people watching basketball and other things are over 34 years old, and while soccer, for example, is between 21 and 34,
Which is
and
the
that
sweet spot.
which is the
Yeah.
sweet spot. That's where people are learning, and that's the age that is asking for more, right? They want more. They want to, a lot of times we refer them. A lot of those people are hipsters, but not all of us are hipster. All of us just know what's good, and
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not
and I
between
wonder,
23 and 34 though either.
right? We're not in that age, but in
Yeah.
the spirit.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
spirit. Hugh, do you guys? What do you guys do for marketing? Do you do anything with sports? Are you with? Are you in Camden?
We are in Camden Yards. That actually is a slightly older demo, but because it's so geography centric and important to the overall fabric of Baltimore, we think that it's worth the investment. Because it's fairly expensive, we don't actually make any money at all on what we're doing in Camden Yards. We are very focused on trying to make sure that wherever we're putting sponsorship dollars, etc., it's really focused on trying to align with what we think is not only the current power demographic, but the future power demographic, for lack of better words. It's not an exact science. I'm fortunate that you talked about soccer. I happen to be a soccer fan, so although my wife is a rabid soccer fan, she's awesome. So we'll be probably looking at more opportunities along those lines. Advertising is a very, very expensive and tough thing for smaller breweries to do because it's so expensive and it's so difficult to measure the results. But as long as it really aligns with your key demographic, there's probably an upside.
And I think that's the big thing about this article is showing like because it's so expensive, MLS are not a major league soccer. It's still a more affordable vehicle of advertisement when it comes to sport.
Right.
And it's getting popular, very, very, very popular, and mostly among younger people, and not counting the amount of immigrants coming, like myself, living in the U.S. now. I'm originally from Brazil, so soccer is a big deal for me.
Oh yeah.
It's a growing thing, and I think it's a nice thing to see they going hand to hand and kind of helping each other.
Hugh, how do you? I mean, what's your main focus for being able to grow your brand? I know you guys. I know a lot of microbreweries and craft breweries spend a lot of effort in local outreach, tap takeover events, or salespeople going in and doing special things at bottle shops and releases like that. So it seems like you're trying to. In those efforts, seems like you're trying to take a craft beer fan and introduce them to your beer. I mean, is that more your marketing approach, or are you trying to convert the Bud Miller Coors drinkers to your IPA, to your Pilsners, and to your more approachable beers?
We just lost you. His connection dropped. Hopefully he'll be back in a moment.
Maybe he didn't want to answer that question.
Did you read anything on the changes of the Florida law? I saw that they finally getting that strange growler law change in there in Florida. They finally passed the bill for the
64 ounce.
For the 64 ounce in Florida.
Oh yeah,
you could get it.
Go ahead, Charles.
I know it passed in the Senate, but did it finally pass in their House as well?
I think it's the next step. It's going to the governor's desk or something for him.
Okay, so it must be ready on his desk to sign.
Mm-hmm. Trying to remember the governor, Rick Scott. Is that Florida's governor, Rick Scott? So I think that's the last step. Because I know that the biggest trouble for passing it was partially because the breweries itself couldn't get to a common sense. So I guess now it's finally getting to get their stuff together.
All right. Well, our craftbeveragejobs.com job of the week this week comes from Iron Hill Brewery, and they are actually looking for an accountant. And so if you're a CPA and you're good at numbers, I guess you could probably fool them if you weren't a CPA, you're just good at numbers. I don't know, but get your resume in on craftbeveragejobs.com for that, because I'm looking down through the job
Hey,
description
guys.
here.
There he is.
Hey,
Hey,
you.
you.
I'm looking down through this job description, and it's like thrive in a
You there?
fast-paced environment. Yep,
Yeah, we hear you.
we can hear you.
Hello.
Nope, he can't
Yeah.
hear us though.
We're getting our guests back.
Yeah, welcome back, Hugh. Can you hear us, Hugh?
Okay.
No.
I can't
Well,
hear you
folks,
anymore.
this is
but
what
that's
happens
all right.
when you do a live show using Google Hangout tools. Sometimes internet connections are lost and we lose our guest for a moment, but it sounds like he's back. He just can't hear us. So can you hear us now, Hugh? No. So if you're watching now live, you can see Hugh struggle with the Google Hangout settings. Try and...
Sorry.
Oh, he can hear me now at least.
Yeah.
Well, let me finish this craftbeveragejobs.com thing. The job is for an accountant, and normal things. You get to oversee the 401k audit, and then here's the list of the benefits: medical and dental insurance, 401k company match, personal time off, and then free food and beer. So I'm thinking, man, if I'm looking down through the benefits package, hey, health insurance, that's good. A 401k company match, that's great. Free food and beer.
And which one of their breweries is that? Which location is that? Because they have several locations. Does it say there?
You know what? It does not say.
Oh, I see. It's in Delaware.
That's in their Delaware location.
Mhm.
Yep, Delaware. There we go. So that's Iron Hill Brewery. If you're an accountant and you want to live in Delaware, you do live in Delaware, you can't pass up 401k and food and beer. Can you hear us again, Hugh? No. He's let's roll on through the rest of the show here then. Releases. Hopefully, I'll skip this one and we'll come back to it in case he catches up with us. Breckenridge has
Hello?
got.
We can hear you. Yeah, he probably need to change some settings.
This is
Okay.
live television
I don't be able.
comedy.
I can't seem to get back on. Oh, you can still hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
I can't hear you guys now. I'm sorry about that. We had a computer fart.
that's all right. That happens. He still probably can't hear us though.
Yeah.
All right. Breckenridge, March. It says March 1st, but must be May 1st. Their Comic-Con, the Hulk Smash Pale Ale is coming out. Hulk Smash Pale Ale.
Hulk smash.
Yeah, Hulk Smash. Stone has got Ruination Double IPA 2.0. It's an 8.5%, 100 plus IBUs coming out next week. New Holland's got a new edition of the Mad Hatter IPA. This is a
They're
new
changing
recipe.
the recipe. They're revving up the recipe this year for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know, and it's still year round, but they're just changing things up.
Yeah,
So
I think it's something in the mash.
something in the mash. All right, so check that beer out. Dogfish Head has got American Beauty IPA brewed with granola coming out in 2 weeks. Surly's got Pentagram, which is a 100% Brettanomyces dark ale aged in red wine barrels.
Yes, I've done that.
That's a lot of beer. 6 Point's got Jammer Goza. That's a 4.2 brewed with coriander and Jacobson salt. I did not know that. Is that they're canning that, Charles?
Oh,
Have you seen
okay.
that?
No, I have
It's
not seen
letting
that.
me do anything,
I have
so.
not seen Jammer Goza. Jester King in Austin, Texas has got beer.
That's the problem with dealing with old farts like me is we don't know what the hell we're doing.
He keeps talking. Jester King Coquetier, brewed April of 14 with Hill Country well water, barley rye, hops, peppercorns, aniseed, lemon zest. Wow, this is a lot of description, but it's a spontaneously fermented beer that comes out tomorrow from Jester King. Three Floyds has got Dark Lord Russian Imperial Stout. That's, I believe, Saturday is Dark Lord Day.
Yeah, it
there's,
is.
several versions of that. New Belgium has got Skinny Dip American Blonde Ale. That the New Belgium will donate one up to $10,000 to Waterkeeper Alliance for every fan photo posted to Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram with the hashtag WaterkeeperDip. That came out last week. I think the contest is still going on, or the donation opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And then we waited long enough. I don't know if Hugh's back yet or not, but Heavy Seas has got Blackbeard's Breakfast Imperial Coffee Porter, aged in bourbon barrels. That is coming out on May 13th. So we'll find some more information about that from Hugh and put it up on the blog at craftbeernation.org if he's got any comments on that. Any other releases you guys can think of that you've seen?
No. That seems quite a lot of release, yeah. Right. I know there's stuff coming in a few weeks down the road yet.
Yeah, the only other one is the Nirvana IPA from Omegang.
Mm-hmm. Omegang, oh, that's right. When does that hit the shelves, or when's that come out, Charles? Do you know?
It's in my glass right now.
Well, all right. How does it taste?
It is delicious.
Yeah? All right.
Yeah, I got it yesterday. Yeah, really, really good.
I haven't seen that around here.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. I'll have to start looking for that. North Carolina Beer Month is a festival here. We keep talking about this every week. Can we knock that one off there? We're giving them a lot of publicity.
They are. Is there less time being mentioned? Cause
that's right. It'll be May the next time. Yeah. Kansas City on Tap in Kansas City, Missouri, is April 25th, and is that the one that Jeremy's going to be at? I can't remember. Jeremy Danner, our guest last week, is going to be at one of the Kansas. There were 2 events down there in Kansas City. That one, and then something in a van down by the river was where he was going to be.
Yeah, it was a different one. The other one he's going to be at.
In a park. Yeah, Tap, New York, Hunter Mountain, New York, is going to be this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Royal Oaks Beer Fest in Royal Oaks, Michigan, is Saturday. Community Tap Fest is Greenville, South Carolina. That's on Saturday as well, too. And Missoula Craft Beer Week in Missoula, Montana, April 25th through this May 2nd. So that's the events for that kickoff this weekend. The only other event we can talk about is Savor, which is coming up. That's going to be June 5th and 6th. Craft Beer Nation will be there. We're going to do some live broadcasting from the event. Hopefully we'll have some better technical opportunities than we had tonight with Hugh, but I think we'll be all right. We're going to be there Friday night and Saturday night. I think we're only going to broadcast Friday night. We're just going to enjoy ourselves Saturday night, which we have been known to do when several of us get together. So, anybody else have any comments?
I will not be at Savor, unfortunately, but I should be at the Tap New York on Saturday.
All right. Charles is going to be at Tap New York, and he is not going to be at Savor, but he will be hopefully around to help us produce and engineer.
Is that the
I'll
one
be online?
Yeah, he'll be on the broadcast.
Yeah, I'll be this weekend. I'll be up by Hunter Mountain on Saturday. It's about 98 New York craft breweries.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Pace yourself, Charles. Pace yourself.
Oh yeah.
So it looks like we've officially lost Hugh again. So we'll wrap the show up with just by saying what we always do. Thanks for Hugh Sisson for coming out tonight and talking with us while he could. Thanks to everybody that watches and participates in our community on Google+. Watches our website at craftbeernation.org for the blog posts and the podcasts and just for hanging out with us in general. We love this. We're passionate about this. We don't do this for money. We do it for fun, and the people that watch us and participate are the fun. So find some of those folks until next week. Get some great craft beer and mind those P's and Q's.
This has been Pints and Quarts, brought to you by Craft Beer Nation. You can show your support for our podcast by subscribing to our content on YouTube, Stitcher, iTunes, or our website, craftbeernation.org. Thanks for listening.